This is Surf Radio from the Standard Hotel, Hawaiian, with Lee Higgins. Surf Radio.
And I'm really pleased to introduce my special guest today is Daniel Nijboer, and you are a filmmaker and biographer, is that right?
That's correct. I started as a journalist.
Yes.
Back in Holland.
Did you? Yes.
Back in the 80s. And after my studies at the Academy of Journalism, I booked one single ticket to Singapore.
Right.
And that was the beginning of a 2-year journey as a freelance journalist.
Yes.
Throughout the whole continent. I mean, Southeast Asia, India.
And what were you doing, like, as a journalist around that? What were you reporting on?
Different things, news, features, interviews with interesting people.
Yes.
Around Southeast Asia.
Okay.
So this was my first introduction, but we're talking about 35 years ago.
Yeah, okay. But you've recently moved here. Where have you moved from?
For the past 21 years,
okay.
I ended up as a filmmaker, journalist in Rio de Janeiro,
okay,
which is Brazil, right?
Okay, yes.
Yeah, been living there, working.
And how did you end up there? Like, how did you go from Southeast Asia to Rio de Janeiro?
I think this show won't
not long enough.
But okay, I was contracted by Reuters, news agency, to cover some stories in Argentina, Buenos Aires. And from there, I got connected with a cameraman, a friend cameraman, who lived in Rio. And he said, Daniel, why don't you come over? If you've never seen Brazil or Rio, I have a place there, so come over and I'll introduce you.
Right.
And so we were about to set up our own news agency. And fell in love with a Brazilian woman and never left.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
And so what made you
come here,
book your ticket to be here in Thailand and in Hua Hin?
Well, after 21 years, I think I've seen the place, Rio. I'm looking for new challenges, and of course the biopics, which we're gonna talk about later. That drove me here.
Yes.
To see Hua Hin. I've never been here before. Well, 35 years, just passing by with the train on the way to Suratani. But
So what made you pick specifically Hua Hin? Because there's plenty of beautiful places here in Thailand.
Absolutely. Well, Bangkok is, of course, always the center for the business. But I was told that Hua Hin also has good opportunities for business. And a lot of interesting people, even though retired, but they have a life story.
Yes.
I can tell you. I mean, each person is unique who is here, retired, and have a life story to tell. Right?
Correct. Well, you just mentioned biopics, so let's come back. Let's play another song. We'll come back and we'll talk about biopics because it sounds quite interesting about what you do.
Yeah.
And my special guest this morning is Daniel Nijboer, and he's a filmmaker and biographer. And Daniel, you mentioned before that you do something called biopics. Now, I've never heard of this before. Can you tell me and the listeners what biopics is all about?
Don't worry, you're not the only one.
Okay.
I mean, most of the people, when I say biopics, is what? Biopics is a short term for biographical life stories, but then in pictures, so not in words. It's not like a book or a manuscript. It's about a video portrait of a person, and it can be done. It can be captured on video for two reasons, or more reasons. But I'm going to tell you about two reasons. One is a biopic for consolation, for comfort,
all right,
for people who want to capture their dear memories and highlights of a life.
Okay.
For the offspring and the children of the next generation.
Okay.
Because each person, you, me, whoever, they all have this same question in life. Where do I come from? Where are my roots? Whose DNA am I carrying? For your own personal identification.
Sort of like a film of a family tree type of thing, like that memory or a hierarchy. Yes.
Can be. But people, while they are still bright and representative at a certain age, most of the time an older age, They like to reflect on life, and their life is full of memories and highlights, and then they want to have this captured, so it will be there for eternity.
Right.
Right. So far, it was only destined for famous people, presidents, or celebrities, Hollywood stars, who have a biopic of themselves for publications and to sell books. But this concept I came up with is, it's unique. And it's low threshold, so it's accessible for everybody.
Yeah, so everybody, no matter who you are,
Yeah.
everybody's got a story, right?
And even the skeptical people who say, well, not for me, my life is not that interesting. Yes, it is. Each person is unique and has their own life story.
Yes,
right?
that's right.
And this is basically what I'm trying to achieve. And I think in Hua-Hin, I ended up in the right place,
Yes,
because
yes.
there are a lot of interesting people with interesting life stories.
True.
And
And so tell me about it. So do you take videos of people? Do you take still shots and put it into a video? How does that all look? What would people expect?
A biopic comes alive by means of one or more interview tracks with people on a location that they prefer and they feel comfortable. And at the beginning, the camera might be very intriguing, but in the end, they'll forget about this. And then after these interviews, I collect photographs, video segments, documents, all kinds of to enrich that live report, right?
Yes,
The story. That is, we call this a biopic for consolation, for
Right.
comfort.
And how long is it? How long are these biopics?
Depends. I mean, a biopic is someone's own possession. It's their property, right? And I always say, when people ask me, like, but how long will it take? How much does it cost? I said, I compared, do you want to have a Mercedes biopic or you want to have a Fiat biopic?
Okay.
So it depends on from 15 minutes up to 3 or 4 hours, like a full documentary.
Okay.
And but that takes also a lot of insert material to cover. So,
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah.
And quite recently, you're at the Wildlife Friends Foundation, Thailand, with our friend Edwin Week. How did all that come about?
Well, I ended up there with the Dutch Society because, after all, I'm Dutch, and my background in Rio, I'm also a chairman of the Dutch Foundation or Society in Rio, and in that way, I was invited to visit this Wildlife Foundation sanctuary. It's amazing work what Edwin, the Dutch founder, is doing there. And as a filmmaker, documentary maker, I'm intrigued, of course, not only about his story as a biographer, but also, for instance, it's going to happen in a few weeks from now that he will travel up north for a couple of days to confiscate 25 tigers and pumas. And that's quite an operation, to capture these. No, they're already in cages, but to transport and to bring to his sanctuary. Because imagine to put them in how do you say, what's the word in English again? To tranquilize them.
Yes.
And make them ready for transport all the way from the northeast of Thailand. That's quite an operation.
Yes.
Right? So I'm going to follow that process and the project, and I'll produce a documentary about this.
Yeah, because as a filmmaker, I can see it in your eyes. You're quite inspired, by this project that Edwin's doing. But it's not obviously the only one he's done, but this is quite a big project for him. And so then how long will that take you to do all that and pull all that together? To
produce a documentary about it depends also how rich the environment is in
Yes.
the sense of shots and scenes and. But yeah, normally that takes 25 minutes
Yes.
to cover a story like that.
Yeah. And he'd be an interesting man, Edwin, to do a biopic on, no doubt.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, absolutely.
No, he's done some great work here in
Yeah.
Thailand and, real inspiration. Now, Daniel, just recap a little bit on biopics because it is very new to me and no doubt some of the listeners. And what styles of biopics are there?
Yeah. There are, like I said, two different or two types of biopics. A biopic for consolation and comfort. Mm-hmm. And there is this BioPic, that stands for a business. That's more for the CEO who likes to reflect on his career, his business story. And most of the time it's for the personal assistant or the secretary of some CEO who is going to retire. But what are we going to give as a present, a goodbye present to this person?
Yes.
And so he's offered a biopic or a BioPic check with a certain value, and so he can have his business story, his life story. Of course, it's a combination always. He can have it captured.
Okay.
But the difference between a biography in a book or a manuscript and a biopic, so a video portrait, is that a biopic has much more impact than just a book. I'll tell you, imagine Anna Frank and her diary, right? Everybody knows that story.
Yes.
If video would have existed in her days, and she would have had a camera on her, and she would, in a way, what she wrote down in her diary, if she would have captured this on video, then that impact is so much bigger.
It's different, isn't it? Yes.
So in a way, if she tells about a nice memory, there is this little smile on her face. And if she reflects on something sad at that situation, was in the house, there will be a little tear. So that has so much more impact.
And so how do you, for people who are not liking being on video, how do you relax them? How do you set them up for success?
Well, 40 years of journalism, interviewing, I think I know my way around now.
You know how to
make people comfortable and not paying attention to any camera anymore, but really as in a conversation, not like an interview. But for Dutch television, I used to produce this series for many years, and I met all the celebrities, not only in Holland but also in Hollywood and London, and of course they're more media trained. They're more used to performing in front of a camera, but. For ordinary people, I can tell you, they're within 5 minutes.
They're okay.
They don't have any idea there is a camera on them.
Yeah, no, because I think that's an important thing. Because sometimes people go, "Oh no, I don't want to be in the camera. I don't look good, or I'm not going to show the right side of me." So there's going to be all those self-reflection questions that they're going to be asking themselves. Yeah. So you can take that right out of the equation.
It takes time to make people really feel at ease, but
because some people don't like talking about themselves either.
Oh yeah, but if I ask a question like, do you remember who was at the cradle of your career? Who inspired you to become the person you are and the type of job you're doing now? And then most people, I remember this person. It can be a teacher, it can be another business person who inspired that person to become the way he is now.
Well, it sounds very interesting, Daniel. So how do people get in contact with you if they want to chat to you about getting a biopic done?
Well, they can go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/BioPic4Ever.
Okay.
And the forever is a figure, right?
Okay.
Forever.
Yes.
Yeah, BioPic4Ever.
Okay.
And there they can see different types of biopics and the story behind it.
Well, we'll put a post up on our Facebook page with all the details. So anybody who wants to touch base with you, they can find the details through our Facebook page and or on our YouTube channel. So,
perfect.
But thank you very much for coming in this morning,
welcome.
Daniel, and chatting with me about biopics. It sounds very interesting, and enjoy your time here in Hua Hin.
Yeah, I think you're ready for one as well.
Oh, maybe. I'm a shy girl, though.
You see, there we go. Don't worry, 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Daniel.
We are Surf Radio.
Online at surf.radio.